So, I've been playing Luigi's Mansion 2 HD for a little bit now. So far, I've finished the Gloomy Manor, and I just wanted to give some first impressions on it, because I know I have been critical of this game over the past few weeks. I mean, I guess couple months, ever since we found out this was $60, but is it worth $60? No, I wouldn't say it is, because it's basically the same as the original game, which was on the 3DS, and was $20 for Nintendo Selects and everything, so yeah, I don't really think it's worth being full price. I feel like this really should have been $40 max, but yeah, I am a little disappointed with how Nintendo handled this, released this, and the missed potential it had for being full price and not adding anything else. But I still have been enjoying my experience with this, and I would say this still is a solid remaster, removing the fact that this is $60 and it does have like missed potential for new content and everything. It still is like a fairly good remaster, just looking at it at its very core, because it does improve some notable things. And I've also been enjoying it because Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon is a great game. Like, I know I see some comments in some of my other videos that I was kind of critical of Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, saying, well, I actually love Dark Moon, and I'm really excited about this remaster, and I completely understand that sentiment. Like, even though I was critical of it, Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon is actually my second favorite Luigi's Mansion game, tied with the original Luigi's Mansion. I think it has a lot of great ideas, and replaying it with this remaster, I definitely agree with, like, kind of my thoughts after a few years after I've played it. And I guess, well, replayed it, I guess, because this is like my third time playing it, because I actually originally played it back in 2013 when it released, but, like, my thoughts definitely held up, because I really like the mission-based structure. I know it's not for everyone, but it really makes this game feel more pick up and play, especially like for the 3DS, since that's a handheld, and the Switch definitely fitting as well, since it's also like a hybrid console and has a lot of that handheld aspect to it. And it doesn't really break up the flow of the game too much, because you really only have like a little minute where you're kind of like finishing a mission and starting a new one. It really doesn't like kind of break the flow too much, because the segmented nature of these missions still feels pretty fun, and it definitely kind of adds to the experience, since there's a lot of fun events that happen. I do prefer the formula of Luigi's Mansion 3, but I still appreciate Luigi's Mansion 2, and I also like the different mansions as well. Like, it kind of gives this game the, like, a lot of the, potential to kind of branch into different themes and different things, and it really does that a lot, which I really like. So, Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon is already a great game. It's definitely up there as one of the best 3DS games, I would say, and it's still a great game with this remaster, despite the issues with how Nintendo has been handling this. And with some of the improvements to the remaster, I think the one thing that sticks out to me the most is the fact that you can use the right analog stick now, because it feels so much better. Like, it feels so natural now that you're able to use it. Even though the original game was built on the controls of the 3DS, it still feels really good here. It still feels really natural. It's so much better to control than the original. The only little nitpick I have is the fact that it still retains the 3DS controls, like, baked into the controls and everything, since you still, like, press, like, X and B to look up and down, which I do think is still a bit weird. I don't know why there isn't an option to turn it off, but it still is, like, a pretty small thing. Just, in general, it was definitely improved. Like, if they didn't improve, like, the controls specifically, there wouldn't have been a point to this remaster at all. I don't know what's the point of remaking Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon and not adding like dual stick controls on a console that has dual analog sticks. That would have been baffling. But it does have the right analog stick controls, thankfully, and it functions really well, also thankfully, and it just makes the game feel like the definitive version. Like, I'm definitely going to go back to this one more, rather than the 3DS version, and yeah. And the other thing are the visuals, and while the visuals aren't as nice as Luigi's Mansion 3, it still looks pretty solid overall. Like, Luigi's model, I would say, looks nice. Everything is very expressive. Like, Tantalus Media was very accurate to Next Level Games' animations and everything, and I respect that. It looks very nice overall. But, yeah, it is a fairly good improvement visually, even though it could have been, like, a smidge better. I do like that it is in 1080p and everything. That does look nice. Like, a lot of the texture work does look nice here as well. Like, the environments, even though the lighting could have been... There's another, like, missed potential. Like, the lighting could have been adjusted a little bit to be more kind of, a little darker looking, and they could have done a little more to match some of the, like, promotional art and things with, like, the environments, but the environments still look nice, and they still do look better than the original. But yeah, so despite, like, a lot of those great things, and despite the fact that Dark Moon is a great game, and by extension, this remaster still is very fun to play, it still does have that missed potential there, and I still say this really isn't worth it. Like, especially since the price on the 3DS was much lower at, like, $20, and it's essentially the same game, but it looks better. I mean, the fact that it looks better is basically, like, something that they kind of had to do. I don't think they would have gotten away if it looked any worse than this. And it doesn't have any extra content, unlike Tantalus Media's other projects, like Twilight Princess HD. But even then, that game did have, like, its fair share of, like, controversy, of looking very, like, dull and not changing much about the original. It's just kind of weird how this turned out. Like, while it is a solid remaster, this really should have been $40 at most, because this doesn't do anything more than Metroid Prime Remastered. Metroid Prime Remastered looks pretty close to a PS4 game visually, at least visually, like, not necessarily, like, spec-wise, but, like, it still kind of looks that way, while Luigi's Mansion 2 HD looks like a pretty solid Switch game. So, it definitely has that, and it's also just, like, with Metroid Prime, it's like, it seems like they kind of did a lot more to improve that game as well than Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. So I really feel like they should have handled this in a different way. Like, it really shouldn't have been $60. And if it was $60, they should have included, like, more content. Like, maybe, like, another new mansion or something. I don't know. Like, it just would have been really nice to see more stuff here. Or maybe a remaster of the original game kind of bundled in with this. I don't know why they didn't do that. Like, that is just crazy missed potential there. But yeah, it's just really bizarre overall. Honestly, I don't really think it's Tantalus Media's fault that these remasters are being handled in the way that they are, because they still are solid when you remove the fact that they are $60 and don't add any extra content. I feel like Tantalus is capable of a lot more, but Nintendo just isn't doing anything. I'm not sure if Nintendo is pretty restrictive of what they can do with the remaster. I'm pretty sure Nintendo has, like, full say in, like, what is in this remaster, despite it being developed by Tantalus. And I feel like it's also Nintendo kind of like commissioning these projects out to be nothing more than just regular remasters with like no frills, nothing added, and is just having Tantalus develop them. And that whole cost of outsourcing the developer makes these $60. It's not like a in-house studio like Retro Studios that can make something like Metroid Prime Remastered. I think that might possibly be why these are a little more expensive. Not to justify the price, because these definitely aren't worth it. I'm just saying, I feel like that could have possibly been just what Nintendo was thinking when they were pricing this game. But yeah. Anyways, I feel like the perfect way to describe Luigi's Mansion 2 HD is great game, underwhelming remaster. But yeah, anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more, and make sure to check out my Discord server and Twitter if you want to. Goodbye.